Hi guys! Hello! I am here with Vampy, and I'm really
Hi.
excited because we're just gonna talk about cosplay and all the likes. We could talk about video games as well.
Yes.
So
Super excited.
let's see. Where I don't know where do we start? I guess
Um,
hmm. Do you have any
well,
questions? Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you want to learn because I have
Mm.
all my tools here because I generally work all around my house. So, like,
Mhm.
if there's anything that you're curious about, I'm totally game. Like armor, fabric, wigs, weapons. I don't know. What's your next project?
um, that's the thing. When I got into Street Fighter, where I started playing competitively and whatnot, I
Right.
kind of just took a break from making cosplays, and I don't know. I kind of feel bad because I really don't know how to put it. I've I haven't been like that interested in cosplay as much anymore, but I do
Okay.
want to go back into it eventually. Of course, like armor building and learning how to sew and whatnot.
Hmm.
Because I know the last cosplay that I've actually worked on for like 3 months was my Sylvanas Windrunner cosplay, and it was
That was an awesome costume. It
thank
was pretty
you.
crazy. I was because you're like I cosplay. I'm all okay, and you're like Sylvanas. I'm all okay.
Okay.
That's a pretty hardcore costume.
Yeah, it was my first time working with Warbler, so
Oh,
it was a learning experience for sure. Like I know I've gotten like so mad. I was like, oh my god, I wasted a sheet.
dude, it looks really good. I mean, for your first Warbler, it's pretty.
Thank you.
So that is like, I guess in the cosplay world, that is probably like advanced, super advanced
mm,
costume. Like that is a very advanced costume to do. So
thank you.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
See, like the thing is that it looks good, but the way that I like worked around like the straps and how to,
Okay.
move around in it is very
Oh,
cheap like, I guess.
like you're talking about like harnesses and stuff,
Harnesses,
things.
yes,
Okay,
and I was
okay.
trying to figure out like how to make my shoulders like a lot bigger because like World of Warcraft armor is like big and
Yes,
bulky. Um,
yes.
like I tried adding extra layers of foam,
Uh
but
huh.
my pauldrons they're kind of like like that shape. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah. Okay,
yeah,
I remember because it has skulls on them.
because like it wasn't curved like this. It was
Right,
more of like that. So
right.
it was kind of awkward. So it looked like I just had like plates on my
Oh,
shoulders.
like floating on you.
Yeah. so
Yeah,
I
but like it
mhm.
does take a while. Those are the curves are harder to do, but it looked
mm,
good. I couldn't tell.
Thanks. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the cosplays that I've actually worked on for I think yeah, like for 3 months cuz
Wow.
um it's I guess like I wouldn't call it like a stereotype, but it's actually a thing where like cosplayers work on a cosplay the week before the convention, and I've done that multiple times. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done it multiple times and it literally stressed me the crap out. Like I'm just sitting here like, "Oh my gosh, am I going to get this done?" Like I know I have to go to work tomorrow and I was like, organizing my time and whatnot. I was like, I don't know if I can get this done.
To be honest with you, every cosplayer has been through it because there's no guidebook, right?
mm,
There's no guidebook on how to make this stuff. Nowadays they have patterns. It's pretty awesome. Like
mhm.
people sell their patterns for the costume, but sometimes it doesn't look right,
Sure.
for
Mhm.
you because a person that's 5'5", you can scale it down, but it might not fit right because your
Mm,
shoulders are a bit different, right?
mhm.
So it's not like everyone knows how to use that program on the computer.
Mhm.
So making your own costume, of course, we're a little bit late every time. So it's totally fine. Like if you're working last minute, you're adult, you work, and you obviously play Street Fighter professionally, like or competitively too.
Mhm.
That's a lot of time.
It is, yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, that's it's literally dedication. So if you're doing cosplay and gaming, I don't blame you for
Mhm.
choosing one. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like
Mhm.
a commitment,
Mhm.
time, money, everything. So totally understood.
Yeah, most
Uh,
definitely. Like
yeah.
it's really fun too because I remember back then where I don't know how people can do it. Like they can wear wigs for like 6 to 8 hours. I
Yes.
I I used to be able to do that, of course, growing up and whatnot. But now
Okay.
I can only wear a wig for like less than an hour because it hurts my head just a bit. Because
Yes.
like I have like really long hair, and
Yes, you
I
do.
remember
Yeah.
I did ask you about like, oh, how do you like get your hair all in your
Yep.
wig cap and whatnot. And I did the braiding method, and it's a lot
Yes.
easier, but I still get like um, not
It's
like
heavy.
headaches, but like kind of like my head just kind of it's like it feels like it's getting like crushed by the wig cap or
No,
something.
it's true. It's like because the wig cap just makes it more tidy, but it's still
Mm,
crushing your head. So
mm,
I, everything you're saying is literally me.
mm.
A lot of people say, "Oh man, how do you, how do you do this easier?" I'm like, no.
Exactly.
Their cosplay literally is uh, just like everything else. It's a
Mm.
struggle putting it on and
Oh,
having it on. You feel okay, but then sometimes if you don't test the costume beforehand, you have to endure the pain or whatever.
mm, mm.
And majority of the time, we don't have maybe only a week to finish the costume, and then we don't have time to try it on, which we should be doing. But I can say that trying on the costume before you wear it at the con is so important,
Mhm.
but we oftentimes forget to do that. So I think if you have a chance to wear it before the night before,
Mhm.
try it on. Do you ever do that? Like try on the costume before, a night before? You're probably like trying to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, most
Exactly.
definitely.
So,
Mhm. Cuz
yeah, so trying that would be good.
yeah, like I don't think usually like when I get done making the cosplay,
Uh-huh.
I would of course like wait for it till like it's done drying and whatnot, and the next
Yes.
day, yes, the next day I
Yeah.
try it on, and I'm like, oh, I should probably like add another strap to this or add another velcro
Yes.
here and whatnot, and that's how it goes for me. Like I don't really test it out. Like once I'm at the hotel and I have my cosplay laid out on like the couch or the floor,
Okay.
I don't even test it out until like the next day where I have to wear it, and it fits
Yes.
just fine. But I always have like um, not bobby pins, safety pins, and of
Okay.
course my hot glue gun there just in case.
Yes.
Mhm.
I can suggest actually, like, if you're doing any kind of stuff, I can always write a list of stuff that you can bring instead of hot glue, which is great.
Mm.
You can bring like epoxy, which people have. It's
Oh
like a
sure.
yeah, so that's really quick and
That's the clay stuff, right? Or is that the?
yes, it's kind of
Mm,
like you can do clear and you can also do a super glue that's really strong.
mm,
You can do, which I don't suggest all the time, barge. It's really strong cement, but
mm.
I wouldn't do it in the hotel room.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like super toxic, but
Mhm.
it's really strong for last minute stuff.
Sure.
Um, because like hot glue, in the heat it'll just pop right off
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, depending on the material, but there's a lot of super glues that you can use. Like people use Gorilla Glue, and there's a bunch of stuff
Mhm.
that you can use besides hot glue because you always have to, need an electric outlet for that, and maybe you don't have it at the con. Your stuff is popping off, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, so I would suggest other stuff like look into epoxy, look into Gorilla Glue, super glues, and stuff like that. So you can bring it with you, in your bag, which I always have it in my bag.
Mm. Sure.
So yeah.
Right. That's so
Is there any
nice.
project
Mhm.
that you're working on, or is there something that you want to work on, like specifically?
Mm.
Um,
I guess like I still have a roll of black warbler sitting in my basement.
oh,
Yeah.
okay,
And like of course like I
okay,
still want to do more armor cosplays because I still want to learn and kind of figure out like what kind of methods is best for making a certain cosplay.
right,
And of course I also want to learn how to sew because I always have my friends
right,
help me go through the sewing, and then
okay.
that's about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, so I think everything, just takes time. So don't feel bad for taking your time. A lot of people say, "Oh man, I want." They like if you follow a lot of cosplayers, you see them working really fast, but it's really not. It's like it's
Mm.
there's a lot of stuff that you don't see. Like when you're sleeping, they're probably not sleeping. You know how it is. they're not sleeping. They're like 8 hours later, and then they post a picture, and they're like, you're like, how do they do that so fast? But some people only have 8 hours in a week, so like you have to section out your time. Like, okay, dedicating 3 hours a day just doing only cosplay. Then eventually you'll finish your project. For me, I do need breaks for cosplay too, so
Right.
don't feel bad. Like, I took like 6 months off. No one knew. Like, no one even cared. They're just like, oh, you're not making costumes right now. Well, yeah, I haven't for 6 months.
Right, right. And
So
like, you know, people
it's
know that you're just like playing like video games and whatnot, and
exactly.
yeah, so it's
So
fine, yeah.
yeah, as long as you have the passion for cosplay,
Mhm.
there you can do your cosplays whenever, because it really is your time and your money.
Mm.
So whatever you do is your project, unless you're working for a company, which is like time sensitive.
Mhm.
But majority of the time, I can even answer those questions too if you want to know anything. But generally, if it's your project, just take your time.
Right.
No rush. If you're a cosplayer, you're always going to be a cosplayer. It doesn't matter. 5 years you didn't make a costume, you still cosplayed, so you're still a cosplayer. So it's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, most definitely. I agree because, you know, like I said before, where I want to work on cosplays where it'll take me like, I know it's gonna take me like a month or two to do this because, you know, of course I want to take my time working on it instead of
Right.
waiting the week before and crunching. Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah, it's stressful, and it
uh
just makes you feel really
yeah,
crappy,
yeah, it really
because
does.
you're
Mhm.
yeah, and it just makes you kind of like not want to do it anymore.
Mm.
So it's good to take that break. If you're taking your 5 month break, 1 year, or whatever, you can get the love back to want to make something, play more games, get
Mhm.
inspiration. Because I'm sure, because you game, a lot, like, you want to be inspired, right?
Yes.
So, like, a lot of times, a lot of people say, how do you think of your costumes to make, right? And I'm like, well, whatever you are excited about, because it will keep you super focused on the project at hand. If you kind of like the character, but it's popular, you might not want to finish it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm.
you don't have the passion invested. So, like, for example, you like Yakuza. So maybe you could do some Yakuza stuff because you play it so much. I mean, I love it. I would like to see it,
Mhm.
something that makes you excited,
Yep.
I think that's the most important thing. Because when I get bored of something, I'm like, I don't care if I worked on it for 3 days straight. I'm just gonna throw it.
Right,
You know
like
what
just
I'm
put it to the
saying?
side because you're not
Yeah, just
interested
put
in
it
it.
aside, and
Sure.
then it ends up in storage,
Mhm.
and you feel bad because you spent the money.
Yep.
So just really pick and choose your battles, I guess. Just
Mhm.
like Street Fighter, like, you're not gonna go off and play. I mean, you play other games, obviously, but
Mhm.
you're mainly Street Fighter, right? So
Yeah.
you're not gonna be playing 5 other million games or fight games, right? Because you're going to compete unless you want to do that.
Mhm.
But it's good to focus on one thing at a time that
Yeah.
you like a lot. Because it's a lot easier, I think. I always say this, but it's a lot easier to love something and do it than to kind of like it and then dread your whole time thinking about the project.
Right, most
So,
definitely. Yeah, cuz
yeah.
I know that like I go to a lot of tournaments over the summer, and I guess
Yeah.
like yeah, now that you think about it, like especially
Mm-hmm.
I can start making cosplays like when I'm not at tournaments.
Yes.
So I
Mm-hmm.
can start making classes like, you know, in the fall or in the winter, in the
Yep.
spring, and that would most definitely save, I guess, my interest in cosplay, and of course putting my
Yes.
interest in Street Fighter to the side.
Right.
So yeah, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Hmm.
that, social media is crazy as hell, and it makes you feel
Mm.
like you're not doing a lot sometimes. Like, for me. So what I've been doing is literally segmenting my days, especially when I'm doing a project and I feel like I'm slow.
Mm.
Generally, I will be like, okay, well, I'll walk away from this social media and I'll post when I can, and
Mm.
then focus, because it does affect us mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like, because some people do it as a job, like cosplay or gaming. Well, I mean, if you want to do both, that's definitely like, I noticed that when I did a block schedule. Have you heard of that? Like, block scheduling?
Mm-mm.
So, okay, so this concept is pretty much what I found out from my friend. So block scheduling actually helps me finish projects faster. And pretty much it is like school, high school, middle school, and stuff like that. So 1 hour, 3 hours, you would just focus on math, right, in class. That's all you can do. You can't pull out English, history, or whatever, right? So it's kind of like I do block scheduling for my life. So costumes, I'll only do costume stuff for 3 hours. And then once that 3 hours is done, I'll set my alarm. It sounds crazy, but it works. I'll set my alarm for 12 to 3 cosplay, and then I'll shut it off. And then my mental state literally shuts off and says, okay, on to the next. So it's kind of like, we had to learn 7 different subjects in school, right? So if we use the block scheduling in our normal life, we can actually finish a lot more. So because you mentally check out, you know what I'm saying? So you don't keep that in your brain. Like if you're practicing Street Fighter for 5 hours, that's all you do for 5 hours, and then when your alarm goes off or whatever, it just shuts out and says, okay, on to the next, your chores or whatever. Yeah, because it actually, that helps me a lot. So if you want to, you could apply that to some of the things that you do, and I think that you can finish your projects faster that way. Because I get really stressed out very easily, and flustered. So that helped me a lot for, I think it's been 8 months now.
Right, most definitely. Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
sounds similar to what Samurai also told me about, like, taking
Oh,
breaks in between, because it
yes.
helps you a lot instead of like having or like being burnt out once you're done with like whatever. And
Yes.
that really does speak to me a lot because I know that I don't ever take breaks because I just want to keep like, grinding and grinding and grinding and keep
Yes,
going
I
until like I
noticed
get
that.
done.
You're always working. Like even when you're sick, you're just
I
working.
know, yeah.
Right? And you work from home too, so it's like you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could say, also from coming from a workaholic, I've been stepping back, and remembering in the morning, okay, what can I do for myself that will make me happy? And it sounds really cheesy, but I'm really cheesy. So like I think about those things when I wake up, like what can I do that will make me feel happy about what I'm doing? And if that's you gotta like, okay, instead of thinking, oh, I gotta stream for this amount of hours because I'm a streamer and that's what I have to do. We know that you do that, but then if you prioritize your happiness first in what you really want to do first for yourself without anyone watching, that will make your day a lot happier, I think, and less stressed out because
Yep.
you did something for yourself already. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most definitely, yeah. I most definitely agree. Yeah, because anytime like I play Street Fighter, I just get so burnt
Yeah.
out where I'm like, here we go again. Like, this cycle that I'm going through, and then thinking that like, oh, I'm gonna go into the next match and I'm gonna feel a lot better. And it's like, you know what, Maureen, you should really take a break. Like, you should like stand up, stretch, or get something
Right.
to drink or whatnot. And I feel like it's a really bad habit of mine where I just like keep going and going until like I'm satisfied in a way. So
Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
Satisfied, what do you mean? Like when you're practicing and you just feel
Mm,
like you hit your mark that you mentally have for yourself,
I
like
guess it's
you're
that
doing
like
really good.
yeah, like that mental satisfaction where let's
I
say
see.
like if I am on a losing streak, like if I lost to the same player 5 times, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna keep playing until I win, or I'm gonna keep playing until like like I said, mentally satisfied with my results or whatever.
Oh, I see.
That's where like I get burnt out, and it's like, was it really worth it? You know?
Right,
Mhm.
right. And I think that, since you compete, that's a whole different thing.
Mhm. Most
That's
definitely.
so, because you're competing. Who's going to win? There is a definite winner. Like in cosplay, we don't really have winners unless we're
Yeah.
competing.
Like
You know
everyone
what I
just
mean?
cosplays.
Right? Like yeah, cool, you made that. That's awesome. And
Mhm.
if you are actually making a Gundam or, a robot costume and someone else walks in with a box and it says Gundam on it, is the same fandom. Like everyone's doing the same thing where we made something that made
Yep.
us happy. So, but it's different for your competition because you have to win.
Mhm.
So that is something I think one of the players can talk to you about,
Yeah.
because I am a very competitive person and I understand like where you come from. Because if I'm losing against, for example, a few monsters and I'm with my friends and we keep on dying, I sure as hell would keep on going.
Yeah.
And I have to, and it's really hard because you stream too.
Mhm.
And this is in front of people. So I think
Yeah.
having that kind of like sense of maybe coming back to it, I really can't give you the best answer for competition, but I'm sure, taking a break is always a good thing,
Yeah.
but losing is is part of it, I think,
I guess
because I mean, you're not gonna.
like if we were to put it for like losing, it's let's say like you wasted materials or something like that, or
Okay, I think that, because it's bigger than that, I think, because
sure, or like
right,
wasted
like,
time
because
as well.
exactly, and
Mhm.
you're flying to these places, right?
Mhm.
So you're flying to these places, you're competing, and if you do lose, I think that the best thing that I've seen my friends do who do compete, they just keep on practicing.
Mhm.
And that's all you can really do. Or um, you know, I think that's all you can really do. You can't really do anything, right? Because it's just
Exactly.
if you lost, right? So, oh, that's hard. I couldn't even think about that too much. That's
Well,
really rough.
yeah, like if you put it that way, like you're still gaining experience either or. And of
Yeah.
course, I guess like practicing as well, because I know that all the times where I messed up making Sylvanas, it's like,
Oh,
man, it really sucks because there's this one time where I messed up the pauldron and I had to do it all over again. It
yeah.
really made me feel crappy because I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was starting to turn out really good, and then at the end it's
Right.
like, I
But
just
you know
want to do it
what's
all
really
over.
cool about that though,
Mhm.
which you are right, because when you do make something and it's messed up, at least you learn something that you don't have to
Yes.
do it again, right?
Yes.
So you didn't really lose that much. You lost time as in materials, but you gained knowledge that you can use for your other armored costumes.
Yes.
So I can admit that every project I do, I mess up at least 5 or 6 times, and of course I don't tell anyone that because I'm not gonna say it and get really angry because you want to put it
Mhm.
past you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
exactly.
instead of putting so much mental effort into thinking about what you messed up on, just say okay. So just throw it out. I literally make a joke out of it now, so I just throw it, and I'm like,
Oh
peace.
my gosh.
Yeah, I just don't
Wow.
even care. I'm just, it's cool. I messed up. So I think that after a couple of years, you just know the process of like you have to fail, and you accept it, and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, move on, because
Mhm.
more time stressing over it really doesn't do any good for anyone. So yeah,
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's how like I also try to think too, where like it's just another day and like, the feeling that
hmm
you have is only temporary. Like
yeah,
just keep trucking on and
that's good.
yeah, figure
That's
out a
really
way
good.
where like, oh, like I think this is like, of course like a good stopping point, or like, oh, this is a really good part of the prop I made. I'm gonna kind of like slowly work around it and make it
Right.
look like how I wanted it to be.
That's perfect.
Hmm.
So at least you're pretty positive, right? So that makes me
I
pretty
try.
happy. Yeah, that's good. That's good. We need that mentally
Hmm.
because we're just gonna get really stressed out or frazzled and we can't finish a project. So that's already you're already on a good route because making costumes is very daunting because you just a lot of times you just have yourself in
Yeah,
your room
I
and you're
agree.
like, what am I doing? And then
Hmm.
you go on YouTube or whatever,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah, I
so
always
it
look up a
does help
lot
a
of
lot.
tutorials for like Warbler builds,
Right.
and it's really cool because there are so many people that have all these techniques where it's like, oh, if you do it this way, it'll look more, like comic like or poppy or whatever, and I'm
Right.
like, that's really cool because I like hopefully like one day like I'll be able to think of some method for Warbler and be like, oh, this is actually really cool. If I do it this way, it's gonna
Right.
look like that or whatever. Hmm.
Yeah, and Warble is such a moldable, material.
Yes.
That have you ever tried like? I mean, of course you use Warble with foam, right? So
Hmm.
have you just used foam by itself?
Um, I think I did try foam
Right.
before,
hmm
but I like Warble a lot better just because
Because it's like stronger.
it's stronger and I feel like it's
Right.
easier to form as well. Because the last time I worked with foam, It was
Mm-hmm.
EVA foam, so it was like I think that thick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was
Mm-hmm.
just like you can't really pack it, right? It's just it's you're worried about packing it and stuff like that, right?
I guess yeah. Like it was just really hard for me. Like of course, like I would heat it up with my heat gun, and then I try to like mold it, but it's kind
Okay.
of like a weird like mold, and it's like I think I have to
It
keep
doesn't
molding.
stay.
Yeah, it doesn't stay, but at the same
Right.
time, it's
Okay.
like I don't want to like burn the material if I want to keep like molding it and molding it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I totally understand.
Mhm.
So you like the I actually think you might like Sintra because Sintra is
Mm.
another material. Have you heard about
I've
that
heard about
material?
Sintra. Yeah.
Yeah, so Cintra is really cool. Like if you do, for example, Tifa, she has like a new thing on her arm.
Mhm.
I strongly suggest Cintra for that because you can exacto blade Cintra and it'll stay there and it's ready to paint right away. Cintra is one of my favorite materials because you can heat it slightly
Mhm.
with hot water or heat gun and it's super strong and you don't have to prime it. You prime it a little bit, but then it's ready to use. It's cheap. It's super cheap. It's like you can go to a sign shop and it'll be like $10. So
Mm.
yeah, it's really cool material.
Wait, what shop again?
Like a sign shop. Like for
Oh,
signs
oh,
on the
oh,
walls.
oh. I thought you said like
Yeah,
a
that's what it
science
is.
shop. I'm like, what is that?
Sign shop. That's where they sell Sintra for really cheap. They have
Sure.
like so I collect Sintra.
Mhm.
So I'll go to a sign shop and I'm like, "Do you have extra Sintra lying around?" And they're like, "I'll sell a few for $5." And you're like, "Okay." That's how you get really cheap materials. You ask them, "Please, let me buy your trash." Like it's not trash, but they have extra strips, right? That's what I mean.
Right.
Like, don't ever
Exactly.
say trash. But it's like if you have extra strips, just say, okay, well, just negotiate. Like it's super easy to buy Sintra, and I used to use Sintra for like 2 years straight. So I saved a lot of money doing that too.
That's really
Um,
nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'll most
but
definitely look into that.
Worbla is expensive. It's a very
Mhm.
expensive material, but it's a very good material because it will last. Not in the heat though,
Oh
as you
yeah.
know.
I'm glad I
Yeah.
live in Minnesota because it's like rarely hot,
What?
and it's just yeah. Like
Oh, California is like death to Warbler.
oh.
Like I'm like it's hot right now. Like I can't really use Warbler.
Mm.
Only if like I know it's gonna be cold for 3 months or so.
Hmm.
So yeah. So yeah. The
Hmm.
Warbler is a very expensive material, but it's good. So
It's
I
really
think it's a
good.
good thing
Yeah.
that you like it. That you really like it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I guess we can talk about sewing as well because I've
Oh
always had my
yeah.
friends
I love talking
help me
about
sew.
sewing.
Yes.
Like that's dope. Yeah. So, what
Um.
did you want to know about sewing?
I guess like I don't know where to start. Like
Okay.
the thing is that do I like start with buying a sewing machine
Yes.
or
Um, I can actually
mhm.
run you through a couple things that you can look back on this video or whatever, and then get some pointers. If you're first starting out with sewing, number one, research. So a lot of
Mhm.
people say buy a machine, and you're like, well, I don't even know how to use it. What do you want me to do with it? And I'm like, okay. So what I usually tell my friends to do is there is a what is my sewing machine? It's somewhere. It is like a $70 machine or $60 machine on Amazon. Um, it's a Janome. It's a Janome machine, and it's a practice machine made for people that are beginners and also very young. But I
Mhm.
don't say like it doesn't. Learning something doesn't mean an age restriction. So even though the machine's this big, you can still sew a bunch of stuff on it. So it's like $60. It's a beginner. Let me see where it is on Amazon. Yeah, it's $55. There is a better one that's $75. It's Janome Merlot. So was it so mini sewing machine?
Mhm.
Whatever you want to spend your money on, you could spend $50, $75. You might be better off with a $75 machine. And invest in learning the machine, how to thread it properly, everything before you buy the machine. Because a lot of people say, oh, I got the machine, I'm still learning how to even thread. And I'm like, dude, YouTube. Go on YouTube. They teach you everything about, threading a machine, also zigzag stitch and stitches.
Yep.
Learn your stitches. That's the most important thing with sewing. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't know how to use my sewing machine." I'm like, zigzag stitch for stretchy, straight stitch for everything else. So, and that's the first two things I teach. If you want to do stretch fabrics like superhero costumes, like even the dress you're wearing is a zigzag stitch because it stretches.
Yes.
You want it to move, so it's zigzag stitch. I make it pretty simple. And then also learning your needles because each needle that you use is different for each material. You
Mm-hmm.
can buy a universal needle for a lot of the stuff that you make, but for stretch, you want to get a pinpoint needle. So there's so many needles to learn and also stitches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not that daunting when you start practicing. And then you buy like curtains. Like I know it sounds weird, but a lot of people say, "Oh, why would you buy a curtain?" I'm like, dude, it's cheap at Walmart and you can buy it if you can get like it discounted. You can cut that material up and then you can also practice with it, making mock-ups for your costume.
Sure.
So you don't have to use good fabric. A lot of people say, like, oh, I'm going to use muslin. That's great. Muslin's $2 a yard. But if you buy like a really cheap satiny curtain, it will be much like a lot of the costumes that you can make already. For example, Boa Hancock, very satiny. So you kind of get like a curtain like for super cheap at Walmart and cut it up, and that's a couple of yards already. That's
Oh
pretty
wow.
damn
Yeah.
cheap.
Sure.
Yeah. Because my friend did Princess Mononoke, and
Mm-hmm.
they used a pillowcase for the dress,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, dude, the pillowcase was $2 because it's gonna get jacked up anyway. So it's like,
That's
you just think,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta think like a lot of people say, oh, you have to buy it from Joann's. Joann's, number one, it's great, but it's very expensive
Mm-hmm.
for materials. So, if you want to do anything with sewing, make sure you get some cheap material first. Don't spend a lot on good material to learn, or get scrap fabric. And one other thing about sewing, I'm a huge fan of Goodwill because majority of the patterns I use are not from the bags. You ever see those bag patterns? It teaches you how to like
Yeah.
make like a pair of jeans or whatever. You can buy it at Joann's.
Sure.
What I do is I go to Goodwill. I'll buy a jacket for like $2 or $3, and then I'll cut that open, all the seams, and then use it for my pattern if it fits well. So it's like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like you can learn sewing from just taking apart some cheap clothes, some clothes you don't use already. So that's how I learned. I'm self-taught, so I just ripped open a bunch of clothes that I didn't like, and I'm like, oh, that's how they did it. So back then there was no YouTube, so I just, you
Oh,
know,
sure.
yeah. So I just literally was like, how did they make this shirt? Okay, well, I'm just gonna buy a cheap shirt at Target and then I'll rip it open and see how they sewed it. So that's one way people do it. So if you don't want to wait and learn like measurements, no one has time for that sometimes, like I have to finish these pants right away.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to Goodwill, get a really cheap pair that fits you, like cheap pair of pants or jacket or shirt, take it apart, use it as your pattern. It's super easy.
That is so nice. Yeah, because it's like
Yeah.
literally think outside of the box instead of going
Yes.
to like Joann's and finding some sort of pattern that you really want.
You
That's
don't have
actually,
to. It's
yeah,
expensive. It's like,
right.
11, $17, and
Ugh.
cosplay is expensive. A lot
Yeah,
of people say, oh man, I'm just gonna do this all the way, and I'm like, cool, but I have to pay rent too. So it's like,
exactly.
we
Right.
like to eat, so it's like I food or really good fabric that I'm only gonna wear one time. So
Exactly.
you
Mm-hmm.
got to choose your battles. But if you're learning how to sew, your best bet is literally going on YouTube, learning your needles, buying a cheap enough machine, a Janome. I
Mm-hmm.
love Janome. All my machines are Janome. I have like 5 machines,
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
yeah, like I'm crazy. I literally love each one to death. So Janome, that brand, just because it's a really good portable machine. It's so
Sure.
good. Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll probably
Mhm.
like start looking into cosplays after I'm done with, like, my tournament season.
Well, you can
But
always ask me. I mean,
yes, I will
my
most likely ask
DMs are
you.
open.
Yes, you're
Yeah, like
literally
I
the
would
first person to
totally be
ask,
open.
to ask if
Yeah,
I'm having troubles with like, oh, like, is this the right sewing machine, or like should I get
right.
this or that? Yeah, most definitely I'll ask you.
Because
So,
my friend made a costume. Well, she
mhm,
didn't tell me this. My good friend.
yeah,
So she's been my friend in cosplay for like 8 years, and I didn't know she used a beginner machine for 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 6 years or 7 years, and she's been making costumes like I would say on the level of like my stuff, and I was like, excuse me, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, there are feet that you can use. So it's called foot. You change the foot, so it's like a little pedal thing
okay,
that you
yep,
attach. So if you have fabric that's super, like it
like
kind of rubs
thick or tough
thick
or,
and stuff, you can use a certain needle and then also foot to make it glide faster. And that's what
mm,
she did instead of buying a new machine like me. And I was like, you used a $60 machine to make all this stuff? So that's what she did.
that's
So
crazy.
I was like, you're better than me. So like you learn a lot if you just talk to people.
Yeah, most definitely.
And
Yeah,
my
like
friend
think
did
outside the
well. I mean, she
box.
has a good machine now
Mhm.
because I think she just saw my machine and she's like, "Oh, yours threads." So after a while, like after you learn your machine,
Yep.
you can probably like keep it. Just I generally keep my beginner machines so I can travel with them. So if I have to do something in the hotel,
Yep.
I'm not hand sewing. So I
That would take
bring
too
my
long.
like
Mhm.
it takes too long, and the practice ones are very small. So I can tell you now, I bring them everywhere. So the last one I brought my beginner machine was a Fanime, and I just brought it with me, just in case something rips, because
Right,
that's
exactly.
what happens. And you don't want to be sitting there like this, like all night while everyone's out, eating and stuff or doing whatever they're doing because you
Mhm.
want to enjoy yourself. So having a beginner machine is never a bad thing because you can move up later.
Yep.
So yeah,
Most
sewing is
definitely.
so much fun. Like if once you start, trust me, you're gonna be like, I don't need to buy this tank top. I'll make my own. I don't need to buy this dress. I'll make my own. It's like that. It's actually pretty dope. I saved a lot of money
Mhm.
by sewing. Like, I'll see something on like a website and it's just straps, and I'm like, dude, I can make that. And all I do is buy fabric for $6 and I'll make the dress that costs 80. You know what I mean?
That's
So
so
you're little
nice.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is because we like the really cool. I'm sure you really like the cool shirts that have the straps and stuff, and you're like, but this is $50. I and then when you have a sewing machine, you're like, I can make this. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, learn sewing.
I will.
It
I
will
will
be
most
it will
definitely.
be
And
very good for you. You
yes.
will love it because you don't have to use it for cosplay.
Right, you can
You
just make it for like small little doodads or whatever.
Yeah, like a tank top, like that you
Yes.
want to make for yourself, like fun stuff.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be about cosplay.
Most
So
definitely.
yeah,
So we went over armor stuff,
yes,
sewing, and I guess we can talk about wigs as our last subject in
okay,
cosplay. Yeah.
okay.
So of course I think we talked a little bit about it until like we got busy and talked about armor stuff.
No,
Um
that's cool. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We can go back.
So I really like how should I put it? I guess like I've been buying my wigs off of Arda because they have like a bigger like cap size or
Oh,
noggin
Arda
size.
Wigs, yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I guess uh how do you go about trimming the wigs? Because sometimes like I get a
Okay.
little too scared or worried because it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a
It's
gorgeous
a lot
wig.
of hair though.
Yeah. Mhm.
It is a lot of hair. So what do you style your wigs on?
A
What
wig head.
a wig head. Oh,
Mhm.
so you actually have a nice wig head
Yeah. Or
and you
I guess
invested.
like I just like buy it off Amazon. Like I have like five wig heads and you can buy it for like $3 or something like that.
Oh my gosh, you're already pro. Like you have five. I have like three. So like that's
No
that,
way.
that's awesome. Like I have to store mine a certain way.
Mm,
Spiky stuff I can't store very well. But if you're talking about like trimming hair, the best way that you can trim hair is I have scissors. What kind of scissors do you use? Or
um,
you
I just probably use like really small miniature scissors because I don't really
real?
I
Oh,
don't have any like hair cutting scissors.
Okay. Do
Yeah.
you guys have a Daiso? I'm not sure if you guys have
We
a
don't
Daiso.
have a Daiso, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you at Evo. Like, if you need, I can get them for like $1.
That's so nice.
$1.50. Yeah, because Daiso has amazing scissors for cosplay. I personally like using Kai scissors for everything. I'm a scissor fanatic. Have you heard of Kai scissors before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me tell. Hold on. I will show you. I'm I'm crazy.
Oh my gosh, there she
I have
goes.
a lot of scissors. I don't want to show you all of them because it might be kind of too much. Um, so I use Kai scissors for everything. Kai is Kai. They are a Japanese brand, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good and they're affordable. You can buy them on Amazon. Everything's Amazon. And they're $14 to $20. And these scissors are so great for trimming wig hair. And you definitely want to remove bulk. That's number one. Like Arta wigs are very thick for a reason. They want you to style it.
Yep.
And you see like for example, Biken. She has really thick bangs, but you don't want to make it thick. You want to make it fluffy in the inside. So what I like to do is I grab. Let me get some wig hair. I can actually show you. I will come back. I'm gonna get some wig.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. I should have had a wig. Right, I have one. Because my house is literally a cosplay house, and I feel bad for my boyfriend. So.
Because all your stuff is everywhere.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm trying to organize it right now, but I got this wig in Japan.
Okay.
You don't have to buy Japanese, but it was cheap. It was like $19.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like the wigs are really cheap in Japan, which I did not know.
So I'm assuming you bought it at like a cosplay store in Japan?
Yes.
That's so nice.
The wig cosplay store. But they're not as good quality as Arta. Arta and Epic Cosplay are my favorite wig stores because of how many fibers are on the wig. So this is the wig, obviously, and how you trim it, or how I would usually trim it, is get a wig. So this is my really goth wig head.
Oh god.
She's really goth. Anyway, I went to hair back in the day, and like I made this. I was like, oh, she's so pretty with dark hair. I was really like edgelord back then, so
that's okay.
Anyway, I was a super edgelord back then. But so here's my wig. How I trim the wig is let's see here. So do you see the wig? Can you see this clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm totally ready. All right. So I grabbed some of the hair. Of course, you're using, you can just use your fingers. And then you glide. Do you see it? You twist it. You twist the hair. And then you kind of like leave it halfway open and do this.
Oh.
That's how you take out hair. Not like a straight blunt line. And then it should stand up on its own, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really
cool. And then if you're doing spikes, yeah. But then you can also brush it out. Like if you're doing, for example, I did this for Morgan. Her bangs were too thick. And I felt like it looked stupid. I was like, why do I look like crazy with these bangs? So what I did was I did the same thing. I twisted. I took out a lot of the extra hair by this way. And then, because you take out a lot of the bulk, but you don't lose the length. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And are you also like thinning the edges at the same time as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And then when you comb it out, it's a lot thinner and fluffier. So, yeah. And then if you actually want to do a triangle shape, like for example, like I said, Biken before, she has those like 5. What character would you like to do wig? Like, if you can tell me. Like a character I can show you.
Let's see. I guess like I don't really have excuse me, anyone in particular.
But just removing bulk, right? So that's the only way. I mean,
Right.
that's how I like to. A lot of people like to do this, like when you get a haircut, they
Yep,
usually
they go by
chop
like the tip.
into.
Yep.
Yeah, they. But that's really not removing bulk in the middle. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So you just twist, and then have this halfway open, and then
Just go all down. Yep.
yeah, and you do it multiple times until you're happy with it. Wigs are pretty much like another beast. Wig styling literally is as time consuming as making a costume. A lot of people say, they don't put enough effort into their wigs, and it really shows because you have like this beautiful armor, and then you're like
Just
wig
slap on
looks
a
like
wig.
yeah, like you're like my head hurts, But then the way I usually counter that is if your wig cap or your hair is too much, um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I like to cut. A lot of people like to. You see this strap right here?
Yeah.
I cut that strap. I don't use it.
Oh, really? Why
Not
is
at all.
why is that?
Because it's too tight because my
Mm.
hair's so thick that
Oh.
my hair's not super thick. It's just long like yours.
Okay.
So
So then, would
I'll
you
yeah
like replace that with bobby pins instead?
yes yes.
Oh.
So I bobby pin everything inside. So what I do for the wigs is that before I wear a certain color wig, I will paint the bobby pins or buy bobby pins the color of the wig
Right.
so it won't show. So if I have like time, I'll lightly spray paint it very lightly, like the bobby pins separated. So I'll separate the bobby pins and I'll spray paint them the color of my wig, and then I'll put it to my
Mm.
into my wig and it will stay. Instead of having that piece in the back where you feel like you had to secure it, it literally hurts for a lot of people and it hurts me. So it might help you. Just securing it with bobby pins should be fine.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's actually, yeah, like, cause I would always like, for example, for the wig, like I would always like the
Yes.
end and just cut it like that.
Yeah.
And I never knew about the strap as well, cause that's probably why, like, of course, like it's too tight. My head is, I feel like it's gonna get crushed or whatever by
Yeah.
the wig.
Right.
So most definitely, yeah, cause I know I do also use bobby pins as well, but I never
Hmm.
knew using mostly bobby pins and not as much as for the wig strap.
Yes. The wig
Hmm.
strap,
Mm-mm.
literally, I haven't used it for 8 years.
Oh wow.
I don't use the wig strap at all. It does add security, but it hurts my head so much that I'm not enjoying cosplay.
Right, exactly.
So, there's a reason why I keep on doing the same characters because I don't need to use a wig. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm Nico Robin again, like, because I hate wigs. I feel
Yes.
you, like,
Mhm.
because they hurt. But if you just detach the wig thing and then cut it off even and use more bobby pins, you're gonna have a lot more fun at the con. You're not gonna be pissed off, like or angry,
Yep.
with it on, and then at the end you're not throwing your wig that you styled on the bed because it belongs on a wig thing, whatever.
Yes.
But and also, yeah, you want to use your scissors halfway open. So if you take anything away, always cut like this way. You don't
Mhm.
close it because you
Just
want to
yep.
take away bulk.
Okay.
So you're not really cutting it. You're cutting it, but then you're taking away bulk. So
And,
that's the only thing I do nowadays.
yep. And how would you go about the bangs as well? Since you're just taking a
Oh,
bulk off
bangs.
of the
Yes.
like the upper part, like how do you do
Right.
bangs? Like would it have to be similar to like doing that this method or?
Yes. So for bangs, I'm very picky about bangs. Of course, everything that you do with wigs frames your face, and you know that. Like
Mhm.
your bangs right now, they frame your face. You like how your face looks with those bangs. I generally like to, because bangs always come like this to our nose. We
Mhm.
can't see anything. So what I like to do is I do the same method. I twist the hair. I remove bulk, of course, a lot of bulk or whatever. I do that, and then I comb down. And then if I'm happy with how like thick it is or how thin it is, I'll stop and then go across and snip across. Like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Because you want to remove bulk first
Right.
and then
Exactly.
cut it, not cut it first and then remove bulk, because it really doesn't make sense then. Because you're already cutting a blunt line. It's going to look even more blunt. A lot of people like to cut the blunt line like right across right away. I don't recommend that, because when you start taking away bulk, this method, like I showed you earlier, you're taking away a lot more hair because it might be shorter. Have you ever seen bangs that are too short, or you've done it to yourself before?
Yeah.
Yes, and it sucks, right? Because you're
Yep.
like, what a waste of a wig, and you can totally mess up a wig that way. So definitely take away bulk first, using the twist and cut method like this, and then comb it out, and then cut after you're done doing the taking away the bulk.
Right, so it's like you're just cutting like the long hairs that shouldn't be there, basically,
Yes,
and then just work
right,
from there. Okay.
right. Because a lot of people, they do the opposite way where they're just cutting a blunt line, and then they take away bulk. And I'm like, but that's not really making it fluffy, right? If you want to do ranma, or like, lum, or like those kind of cool, you hakusho, so you want to do like cool anime bangs, you want to fluff it up first and then cut the blunt cut. A lot of people do the opposite way, and their bangs are like this, jagged, and that's definitely not the look you want. I'm sure you want the fluffy bangs that look really cute, and frames your face. So I highly recommend taking away bulk first, because Arta Wigs is really thick. Like we said this many times, it's very thick for
Very.
a reason. Yeah, you have to take away bulk. What I started doing now is literally taking away bulk right when I get Arta Wigs or Epic Cosplay Wigs. I just turn on like anime or a movie or a YouTube thing, and I just go all around my wig head and taking away bulk in sections, and then I'll cut the wig. So because they just give you a lot of fibers that you're not going to be using eventually.
Right,
So
exactly. And
yeah,
that's smart too, because especially if you have very long hair, it will also, I guess like the wig will be a lot lighter and you don't have
yes,
a lot on your head.
right. Like
Yeah,
for
okay.
yeah, like you just want to make sure that you take away bulk first,
Yep.
because a lot of people do the opposite. They cut it perfect,
Mm,
and then they take away bulk, and I'm like, well, it's still a really thick hair. It's really thick hair, and it starts looking jagged.
mm-hmm.
So that's what I do for a lot of my wigs. And I do I do it backward. You know what I mean? So you always want to start with your base first. Like anything, like your foundation, you want to make sure that everything's prepped perfectly. Like if you're styling the wig, like if you're doing curls, you want to like make sure you flat iron the hair, all of it. Like it's heat resist. I think it's heat temperatured wig now. Like you can
Yeah.
actually like. So I flat iron all of my hair first, and then I'll curl
It's easier
instead
that
of
way,
just
right?
curling it. Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
And you take away all the like hair that it might be like I don't know, when you're using a flat iron, whatever shape it is, if it's like doing a corner, it's gonna break off. Even your natural hair, you want to comb first and then curl.
mm-hmm.
So yeah. Did that answer your question? I said a
Oh no,
lot
no, it did, it
about
did.
wigs.
Yeah, no,
Okay, cool.
like you answered my question even like far beyond, and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
never
like
knew this or that.
I
So
hope so,
no, no,
because
no, you did,
wigs
you
are
did, you did.
crazy. Like they freak me out, because before I didn't really know how to work on wigs,
Mm-hmm.
but then it took many times messing up, and I was like, oh, this is how you do it.
Exactly. Like it
And
starts to
Arta,
click, and then you just go from
exactly.
there. Mm-hmm.
Arta actually taught. They have a YouTube that shows how to do it,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I think that like it doesn't always explain everything the way I can understand it, because I simplify everything the way I explain it, because I'm just a cosplayer too, and the way I do things might be like a little bit different than everyone has their way of doing something, but I always like to cheat because I don't have a lot of time. We all don't.
Yeah.
Some people are like really good at just wig styling, and that's not me. I'm just, I have to make the rest of the costume kind of thing. So if you just thin out the wig first and then cut the blunt cuts, it'll look really,
Mm.
yeah.
All right. Well, I don't have any other questions. Like you literally answered all
Okay.
of them, and I'm like, holy
Cool.
crap! I didn't know
Awesome.
anything about this. That's so awesome,
Cool.
though.
Maybe you can look back, and then
Yes.
if you have any questions about like what sewing machine did you say, you can look back at this video and then get the name, you know?
Most definitely.
Yeah. But of course, if you want to ask any other questions, I'm online. So
I'll most
I'm
definitely
always
ask
online.
it.
Yeah, both of us are always online. So, you know.
All right. Well, I
We're
don't
always...
have any questions here. Do you have anything else to say, Vamps?
Well, I do. I just want to wish you luck in everything you do because you're
Thank
killing it
you.
right now. I'm so happy for all your partnerships. I think it's, it's like a long time coming for women. I know I don't speak upon this enough, but like women are killing it right now. And I feel like people should be very afraid because a lot of people don't think about this, but we always try to look nice. We always try to be proper because we are, proper women, but we can also kick your ass too. So
it's always
I
been our
can't wait.
time.
I can't wait to see you compete because it's going to be awesome.
Thank you
Best
so
of luck to you.
much.
No.
Thank you.
Anytime. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's coming close here. Like I'm going to see you this weekend, and it's crazy
Yes,
how
I
like
saw.
oh my gosh, I'm just like kind of freaking out, but very excited at the same time. So
Just the only thing I can say is that you know yourself and you know what you
exactly.
can do, and you definitely know. I'm sure your character. You can. The only thing you can do is do the best you can, and my dog Koji.
I want to see Koji.
Koji believes in you, right? Koji?
Oh, Koji.
Koji's like, yeah.
Oh, look at that fluffy baby.
Koji believes in you. I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
You know how you have everyone backing you, so yeah, all of us are backing you. Just
Thank
remember,
you.
remember, don't be nervous. Everyone's backing you. You could be nervous, but being nervous is good because you want to perform well.
Yeah.
And that's always good. That's always a good thing.
Okay, bye, Koji.
He's like looking up at me.
It's like what's going on?
I'm like, you're not getting his snacks right now. But yeah, later.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess that wraps it up. Like we've it's been an hour, which is good. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, snap.
I know.
That went by fast. Yeah.
that's what happens when you're just happy talking about like our hobbies on like a mutual level and how we can like improve as individuals. So I'm just like really, really grateful for this opportunity, Vamps. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it.
Of course, anytime.
So I guess I don't have anything to say. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just can't wait to watch you kill it. Take all the sponsorships. Take them all.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Yes, you can only do your best.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vampy. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you. Well, I'm seeing you at Evo, obviously.
Yeah, I'll see you at Evo.
Yeah. So that's pretty soon. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Well,
are you competing at Evo too?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh. I saw you won on stage last time, and I was like, I need to meet them.
Oh my heart!
It was so cool. I saw you win on stage. I'm like, oh my goodness, she just killed it right now. I was just freaking out. So you did a great job. I can't wait to see you kill it again.
Thank you so much, girl. All right. Well, you have a wonderful Monday, and
you too.
Yeah, stay cool, cause you told me how deadly. Huh?
Oh, it is Monday. Okay, sorry. Anyway, but yeah, thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.